All right. Good evening, folks. Ted Fox, Scooter's Garage, coming at you live from lovely Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas. Apologies, we're 10 minutes over. Some technical difficulties. Before we get started, let's post this out there for folks so they can see it. So, all of a sudden, the laptop decided it wanted to act up. So it took us a minute, took us about 10 minutes to figure it out and get that fixed. So let me just post the new link out there so everyone's got it. Almost there. Okay. So tonight, let me go over to the other laptop. So what we wanted to do, everybody, is kind of answer the top 20 questions that we get a lot, either on phone calls, email, things like that. But before we get started, I want to say a shout out to our sponsors, GoPro. Apparently, this little guy, I still got to learn the tech, but he's got wireless capabilities, network capabilities. So hopefully, the next time we'll be broadcasting from this. Then, engine ice. Not only the coolant, but plastic shine, guys. This stuff is fantastic. It's out of this world. It will make old plastic look like new. It's clean. It's wonderful. I mean, this can't say enough about it. It's outstanding. And finally, followed by Slick Products. They have many products. I love their orange clean. I love the suds wash and wax. This stuff literally melts dirt. It's outstanding. It's unreal. Okay, so that's a quick shout out to our sponsors. So, like I said, what we wanted to do is kind of give our first YouTube live and cover the top 20 questions that we always get. So, that being said, here we go. And my apologies, I didn't get everybody's name that asked these questions. These are just questions that come in all the time, phone calls, emails, this and that. So, in no particular order. So, what is Scooter's Garage and how did it start? So, Scooter's Garage is my shop, which is also question number 2. Are you the owner? Yes, I am. And it's a small, up and coming, veteran owned. I'm a Marine Corps veteran. Um, I love to work on cars. I love classic cars. And I just love fixing them. I love building things. Um, Scooter's Garage, the name came actually from a nickname that my dad gave me many years ago. Um, and just in general, just a all around shop. Um, let's see, make sure we share this one more time. Okay. Um, so that's question number 1 and 2. Question 3. I see you reference Scooter's Garage and Team SGR. What is Team SGR? Team SGR is my grassroots racing team, um, actually started by myself and John Martin. So, Hammerhead, if you're watching, um, we actually took that and we just kind of ran with it. And Team SGR, it's Scooters Garage Racing. Because a lot of times, as folks came, they started asking, do you drink from your own Kool-Aid pitcher? Do you, if you say you're going to put this in my car, have you ran it before? Have you done this? So, and let alone not just the cars, but John and I like racing. We brought in Philip Madden, and both of those guys, I don't think Philip owns it anymore, but I don't think Philip owns it anymore, but he used to have a very fast turbo Buick. John Martin still has a very fast turbo Buick, and he has oh, hold on, guys. I'm getting kind of pegged here, getting pinged. Okay. So, John Martin has, you'll see me commonly referred to Mama's Toy. It's a very quick SUV. That's 6,000 pounds of truck, guys, that you've seen me post videos before, that will run with Corvettes. Sorry for the background noise. Someone is apparently pinging me on Facebook. Okay. So anyway, John and I started that. Give me just a sec, guys. The background noise is very sidetracking. Okay, sorry about that. So anyway, Team SGR, John and I started that. We brought in some team members, Philip Madden, Bob Cook, just various folks, Doug Taylor, Doug at one point had a wicked little LS Mustang. I'm sorry, guys. Okay. So John and I started that. I'm famous. I'm getting pinged on Facebook a lot. Okay, so let's go back to our questions. Okay, so that's kind of question 3. We've got Team SGR. What is Scooters Garage? Are you the owner? Question 4, what all services do you offer? That's still kind of a loaded question, because when I started Scooters Garage, I started it as an old-fashioned garage. For those of you that have been around for a while, you'll probably remember this. And the folks that are, kind of new to cars or haven't been in the game very long, well, back in the early days, there used to be an encompassing garage where you could go and you could get just about anything fixed. You could get your alternator, your battery, your motor, your transmission, as long as it was a minor fender bender, a little ding, shopping cart ding or something, you could go get that fixed. So I kind of started that up. And then I also started it with the extra services. Well, just anytime you tried to go get something done, every shop was backed up from here to Kingdom Come. They were backed up, weeks, months, even some shops years. So I decided to jump into the fray. So the services we offer, we've done some fabrication, metal, making parts. We've done body work, although we don't do heavy collision. We've done some paint work, things like that, motors, transmissions, restoration, hot rods. Here recently, thank you, Dr. Rob, a bit of consulting where folks will call us up and they want to know how to do something, or they want to know um, um, just inputs on their car. So haven't quite wrapped that into a service yet. Working on it still. So yeah, just lots of fun. Give me a sec here. I've got some folks asking me if it's live, if it's on the link. Multiple laptops. Okay. So that's questions 1 through 5. Question number 6, what is your price range? That also is a bit of a loaded question. I do have an established rate, although it varies from project to project. Reason being, depending on what it is, especially with classic cars, you don't know how much the parts are going to be. You don't know how much damage is done to the car. Because let's face it, some of these cars are 25, 35, 45, 55 years old, and stuff likes to hide. So if you bring a fender and the fender's rusted out, I always recommend checking behind the fender, the door, different things, because rust hides in all kinds of different places. And there's no telling how much damage is hiding in behind there. So I try to do things right. We're not the cheapest, we're not the most expensive, but bottom line, we try to do it right, because I don't want you coming back in 6 months and saying, hey, my car is messed up. I want to put out a righteous piece, nice car, nice build, something that both you and I can be proud of. All right. Question number 7. What is the first thing you tell people? Oh, sorry, getting pinged again. Give me just one sec, guys. We'll go back to the questions. Guys, we'll go back to the questions. Okay. So anyway, question number 7. What is the first thing you tell people when they want to look at fixing up an old car? That's a good one. So from my perspective, my point of view, oh, sorry, guys. Okay, not available. Okay, so apologies, everybody. We're sorting through the tech here. I had some technical difficulties when the video started, so we may do this a second round. But anyway, let's go back. Okay, so we were at question number 7. What is the first thing you tell people when they want to look at fixing up an old car? So I always tell people budget, goals, or goals and budget, goals, or goals and budget, and watch out for scams. So what do I mean by that? Watch out for the scams, number one, because unfortunately in the automotive industry, especially in the classic car industry, There's a lot of unruly people out there that try to take advantage of you, and in the automotive industry in general. Um, and what that means is if you're, you want to buy a 1968 GTO, somebody will try to take that and they'll take a 1968 Le Mans, or they'll have a 69 and they'll try to rebadge it and put the stickers on it, and they'll clone it, which does not make it a real 1968 GTO. I've seen people do that with Camaros, Firebirds. They take a base 6-cylinder Camaro and try to say that it's an SS Camaro, or something like that. Chevelles are another thing. They try to clone it, which does not make it, and I'll probably get a lot of hate mail for this, but it doesn't make it a real SS. I'm sorry. So watch out for the scams. Goals and budget. So goals, set something realistic in behind your goals. That way, I get customers come to me a lot and they want 6, 7, 800, 900, 1200, 2000 horsepower. And they don't realize what it fully takes, what it really takes to get there. And they think, oh, I watched it on Street Outlaws. They do it. And what they don't realize is those guys have a lot of time and money into their car. Okay. So goals, realistic goals. And besides, a lot of my customers out there, when they say they want 800 horsepower and I take them for a ride in one of my slower 400 horsepower cars, they go, oh my goodness, wow, and they want the same thing. So realistic goals, and then you can wrap a budget around that. I've seen so many times where folks come back across and, they go, I got 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, 50,000, 100,000 in my car. And it's because they didn't do their research, and they didn't check out what kind of paint they're going to use, what kind of motor, or the value of the car, any name it, or they didn't start with a good platform. So goals, realistic goals, budget, and watch out for scams. What are some things, this is question number 8, what are some things to look for when buying a classic car? So some things to look for, I just kind of touched on that in question number 7. Watch out for the scams, of course, and people trying to pass clones as the real thing. Watch out for rust. A lot of the cars rust in the typical places around the back corners of the rear windshield, the front corners. And what I mean by the corners, if you look and you see where the front windshield goes, see where the seal shield goes, see where the seal is, you can see little spots of rust down there. You up above the wheel wells, you can see little spots of rust. You can see all kinds of different things like that. And we'll cover that later in some more stuff. At least I hope so, in some videos we've got coming. And we can only get better, guys. Again, apologies for the technical difficulties in the beginning. Okay, this one kind of goes back to question 8. This is number 9. Can you tell me some things to check when I look at a car I am thinking about buying? You don't have to know a lot about cars, when you go to check out a used car. Just have to have some common sense, check for a couple obvious things. And again, we're going to cover that in some later videos. But look for bald tires, dry rotted tires, rust. But look for bald tires, dry rotted tires, rust, busted up interior. If you pop the hood, and you should see an engine, but if you pop the hood and you see just this big grease ball or big oil ball, might not be the best car for you to take a look at. Mileage, of course, clean title. Sometimes people, one of my pet peeves is they go, no title, bill of sale. And then they happen to know a friend's friend's friend that can, get you a title for $50. Well, that's not true. I'm sorry. I've been through this enough times and I know how to do it the right way. And it's going to cost you a little bit more than $50. But that's just a couple of things you can check if you're looking for a car in general. Okay. Question number 10. How long have you been working with cars and what kind of training do you have? Good one. I'm a former ASC certified, I guess, master mechanic, L1, I guess, master mechanic, L1 diagnostics. I do plan on renewing them. The only reason I'm not current is I just haven't went back and renewed my test yet. So I'll go back and renew those. I've been working on cars thanks to my older brothers, Chuck and Jerry. Well, kind of on and off before that, but I really started around 1984, 85. I'm dating myself. And then I went to school, studied automotive paint and body in high school. I still remember my high school teacher, my paint and body teacher, James R. Toth. I'd been to some GM training. Like I said, ASC. I've been to various other vendor, manufacturer trainings, things like that. Been to the HP Academy for late model tuning. And just a lot of experimentation. I went to school. Little known fact, I went to school. I had some school around automotive engineering. So yeah, I've been at it quite a while and just trying to put some of that knowledge to use. Okay. Oh, here's a good one. Question 11. Have you done or currently do work with EVs? That's a loaded question. That's a yes and a no. The no part is we don't do everything yet because I'm just not equipped to do so. We're just not equipped for it. Like changing out full battery packs, things like that. We're just not equipped for it yet. However, we have had a handful of Teslas through 10, 12 Teslas. The secondary batteries went bad. We've traced some shorts, some main fuses, some battery management boards, things like that. And of course, the dreaded seals, trunk seals, door seals. So we've done some things like that. We're going to be looking to expand on that with Michael Gill, owner of Electric Hypersport Racing. We've been studying up with EVs with him. So we're hoping to continue that because, like it or not, all my hot rodding friends, all my fellow rodders, racers, and racerettes, electric vehicles are here. They are a part of the future. I personally don't think they're ready for everything yet, but they do have a place and they do show promise. So study them, get up on them and be ready for them and be ready ahead of time, so just in case you don't get left behind. Let's see. Question number 12. What's one of the most interesting jobs you've done so far? I would have to say so far, that one would have to be Project Resurrection. So as we did some suspension, some motor, transmission, torque converter, all that, you may have seen a recent news article written by Rob Garcia. That's no kidding, guys. As we were replacing the transmission, drive shaft, we found this box, weird looking little thing with wires and stuff going in and around it. And it was blocking. We couldn't get the cross member out. And we didn't know why. We didn't know what it was. And at the time, I had an apprentice in the shop that said he knew what it was because he had studied it in his film or whatever, his acting class. He was apparently in a local college or trade school, something, and he was studying how to make movies and be a cameraman and, all that stuff. He said he knew what it was. I thought, yeah, right, sure, kid, whatever you say. And he goes, no, I really think. And whatever it was, the kid was so serious about it, he made me stop and think twice. So I asked him if he knew anybody, and he says he could call his instructor. The instructor was kind enough to come down, and we found out that it was actually an unexploded pyrotechnic device. And the instructor that he called, he says, yeah, he goes, they usually use this to create like a fake explosion or to blow a car up, or or things like that. So yeah, that was scary and strange. First one, but fortunately we were able to take it out. The instructor's like, do this, that way we could take the thing out and effectively disarming it so it wouldn't trigger. Because that would be the last thing I wanted, was for it to go off and then I'm grabbing fire extinguishers or whatnot. So that one was probably the strangest. Okay. Question number 13. What's the most expensive car you've worked on? To date, I would have to say that would be a toss-up between a Z06 Corvette and probably either a Gullwing Mercedes. Yes, I worked on one of those. And I'm trying to think. Probably my top three most expensive ones. It was be a 1957 Cadillac. I have a gentleman named Carl that drives up out of Waco just to see me because he says he likes the way I treat his car. That, and I fixed something that another shop that said they knew how to fix points and fix a carburetor. They really messed up his car. And he pulled up, and I still remember the first day he pulled up, and he was kind of complaining. He's an older fellow, and he says, well, they did this, and he was telling me about it, and I was listening to it, and I kind of knew, I suspected right off the bat. And he's like, oh, well, you're not going to fix it. You wait a minute. I didn't tell you, And I grabbed my points tool, little Allen head kind of screwdriver, and I twisted and turned, and I set the points by ear the best I could, and it started smoothing out. And I just looked at him and said, your points are out of adjustment, and then I said, your carb is way out of adjustment. And so he goes, well, can you fix it? And I said, absolutely. So I fixed that. But anyway, 1957 Cadillac, C6 Corvette, guy brought his vet down to us, wanted a air intake and an exhaust system. So he had purchased, I don't remember, from LG Motorsports, Summit, somewhere. He purchased headers and a full exhaust system and asked if we could put the exhaust system on the car. And then after we finished that, he gave us the air intake. So that was really fun. And then the Mercedes, that was just an oil change. But yeah, you talk about trying to be careful. Because I know just enough that those cars are worth mega money. Gullwing Mercedes, beautiful car. I had probably every blanket, every bubble wrap, every piece of protective item in the shop on that car. So yeah, that's the most expensive ones I've worked on. What's the strangest thing? Question number 14. What's the strangest thing you've seen in a car? So that would probably be either the pyrotechnics in Project Resurrection, or I remember working in the shop, various shops over the years. We had this gentleman come in complaining that his brakes were making noise. And this is probably this is one of those meme things, or like one of the stories you hear about on the internet, on social media. And he's complaining about his brakes making noise. So we drive it into the shop, we get it up on the lift, and we start looking at it. And the rotors were worn so paper thin, they were starting to disintegrate. And the rotors were worn so paper thin, they were starting to disintegrate. One of the calipers was literally locked up. It couldn't go out any further. And we told the guy, and by all means, to protect the shop, we actually had to call the Texas State Troopers because the guy didn't want to do a brake job, didn't want anything. And we showed him the evidence. And I mean, it was just so bad. And how somebody could drive their car like that, I don't know. But we had to call the state troopers to get him, and tell him, hey, by good nature, we can't let you drive this car out of here. It's not safe. Sometimes that does happen, guys and girls. Okay. What's the worst car you have worked on? Okay. Restoration wise, that would probably be one of the ones we've got in the shop right now. That would be Mission Apollo, Ohio car. It's a 1974 Buick Apollo. Somebody started out, it looks like with good intentions. It's got a lot of new metal. It's got a lot of rusty metal. And then it looks like they just quit or they got sloppy on the car. There was so much Bondo everywhere and rust and Bondo over rust and the frames out of alignment. I mean, this car needs help. But we're slowly but surely getting it back there, getting it where it needs to be. The other one would be, I worked at a dealership one time, and lady brought her car in for service, and she was a cat lady, loved her cats. There was this horrid smell of cat vomit and urine in her car that was just, oof. You didn't want to get in the car. You didn't want to get anything. So yeah, that was probably two of the worst. Okay, that's question number 15. Question number 16. What is the Tiger Cub series or Tiger Cub intakes? So that is a program that to do some research and development, some parts development. For short deck Pontiac motors, meaning the 265, the 301, the 303, and I believe the 366. Let's face it, guys, if you're out there in the Pontiac world, the 400s, the 428s, 455s, and everything, they're still out there, but they're getting harder and harder to find in usable condition. And that, people are starting to turn, and we kind of got the idea from NHRA record holder Rick Undersay. He has a disco era 301 turbo Firebird that runs 12 seconds. And if you know anything about those, they're not supposed to do that. And then Rick and a couple other guys in a Facebook page that I help manage, Oddball Pontiac Motors. A couple other guys have taken, and what the big thing is they take standard heads instead of the Siamese port and the smog heads and everything. They take standard heads and they put it on the short deck. But the problem is that no intake exists for that. You have to have a custom-made intake, or you have to shorten an existing intake, which is not super hard. It's just very, very labor-intensive, very time-consuming. So what we started to do is we started to get the idea of make an intake manifold, and just have it there readily available. That's where we brought in Jeremiah Heidner, our lead designer. He helps take what I've got up in here and get it out on paper, or get it, into a 3D scan and into a 3D printed model. We're to the point, you've seen me post up the Tiger Cub intakes. We've got a prototype for the Tiger Cub 3 that's based on the former Nash Warrior intake manifold. We've got the Tiger Cub 2 that's based on the former Holly Street Dominator for Pontiacs. So they're coming along real nice. We're hoping to have those out here. There's a big article in Poncho Perfection. If you want to get a good magazine, you need to get a subscription to Poncho Perfection if you like Pontiacs. So that's where that came from. That's the Tiger Cub intakes. We're also looking at some adapters and things like that, so the intake can actually interchange between a short deck and a standard deck Pontiac. And again, that's where Jeremiah is coming in to really help us out. And we've got some other ideas, but we're not going to unleash those just yet. Okay, so that's question number 16. Question number 17. What are some of the plans you have for 2023? Get back into racing. The past couple of seasons with the pandemic, COVID has really slowed us down. Busted race cars, Snowmageddon. Apparently, one of the cars suffered a little more damage than what I thought. We had some electrical damage. The battery got drained real bad. We had it on a battery tender. And then as the power was coming in and out, big voltage surges, it actually shorted some things out. So we've been fighting some gremlins with that. But we've just about got those fixed. So one of the big plans is to get back in doing some racing. Of course, the Tiger Cub series of intakes and parts. So lots of plans there. A lot of growth, hopefully a lot of other projects, some R&D stuff coming. So 2023 is looking to be a big year. What's some of your biggest accomplishments in the automotive industry? That's question number 18. So that one, I've got several, but I think one of my most recent is when John Martin, Bob Cook, and I went down to the Lone Star Summer Shootout, and we essentially took BB guns to the OK Corral, our summer shootout, and we essentially took BB guns to the OK Corral. I mean, here's these guys with big super gas, pro gas cars, rail dragsters, drag bikes, and everything. And, at first, a bunch of those guys, they were sneering at us, jeering at us, well, what do you think you're doing here with that? That kind of thing. By the end of the weekend, midway through, we actually had some folks start to cheer for us because they saw that we were serious. John actually went up against a rail dragster, put him on the trailer. I went up against a drag bike, put him on the trailer. Bob went up against a drag bike, put him on the trailer. So that is some of my big accomplishments there. I mean, to me, even though we really didn't win, we went down and, we knocked knees with some big time racers, and we earned their respect. So that one to me stands way up there. I've got many others, but I won't cover those right now. So that's question number 18. So question number 19, have you met anyone famous? Yes. Met several people over my lifetime. I've met Bob Hope, Hulk Hogan, saw the president, one of the presidents anyway. I've met several people in the USO tours in my military days. I've met Richard Petty. The last famous people or person I met was Farm Truck and Asian from Street Outlaws. So yeah, the list just keeps growing. It's awesome. And finally, if you could build a car for anyone, who would it be? That would be either my mom or my dad, followed by my brother, either one of my brothers, Chuck or Jerry, because they kind of got me started on this. Yeah. So that's the top 20 questions, everybody, for Scooter's Garage. Again, apologies for the early technical issues. This is my first YouTube live broadcast, or our first as the shop. Hopefully one of many more to come. So if you got to watch it, thanks for tuning in. If you didn't, then hopefully you'll get to watch the next one. And thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.